deals out there. There's $1 million developments being sold for $100,000 or $200,000. There's deals like $100,000 outside of Phoenix, just in a subdivision, lots, improved lots, $100,000 lots selling for $6,000 to $8,000. I mean, how much better does it get than that, right? And the same is true in Las Vegas. The same is true in California. As a matter of fact, California is one of my favorite states to do this. It's one of my most successful states. Some of my most successful students are in California. This is one of the best areas to do this. And you can buy these properties literally for less than it takes you to go for dinner. I've bought properties for $52.74. I've bought properties for $92, hundreds of them. I've probably at least bought 800 properties for less than $100 each. Is that a good price for properties? Now, these are not junk properties. These are properties that are worth something. They're worth thousands of dollars. And selling is easy. Even more easy now than it ever was because of thanks to the internet, and I'll share with that a little bit later. Okay, ready to hear how it works? Okay, yes. Good. Good. So here's the deal. There's just in the house, just like in the house area, there's people that do not want their property anymore. They're so-called non-wanters, right? They don't want to put any more money into their property. Not even in many cases, in some cases, they don't even want to pay their property taxes anymore. They just want to get rid of the property, and and in many cases, they're literally willing to walk away from these property for almost zero, in some cases even for zero. They're absolutely walking away. Every year, I'm getting properties for free. Every year, the sellers just say, you know what, I just don't want it anymore. I know it's worth something. I wish you make good profit from them. Just take it. The one property I bought for $1,850, the seller, a week after he sold me the property, or actually a week before he sold me the property, had another contract. The county assessed the property, reassessed it from $15,000 to $55,000, and he got the notification, and he sent it along with some other paperwork and a note and says like, hey, just got this, you owe me dinner, I hope you make a good profit, thank you. People, they know what it's worth, and they still are just fine selling them. We have been invited to weddings from people that sold their property to us for $300, thanking us for taking the burden of property ownership off their shoulders. And we then took a turn around, and 2 weeks later sold the property for $12,000 to somebody that immediately put a house on it, because all utilities were there. Is that okay? It's like, yeah, I didn't go to the wedding. I kind of was a little far away, but I appreciated the invitation. So why would the sellers do that? Why would the sellers want to do that? Now, many sellers perhaps inherited the properties. They had hopes the property would develop and moved away from areas and don't know what to do with the property. They're kind of like far away. Often it's a combination of that. They have inherited the property, they've never even seen it, and they're like, I don't care where the property, it's somewhere in another state. I'm not going to go there. I don't even know what it's worth. I don't care what it's worth. Just, yeah, you want to offer me $300? Okay, take it. Right? And they might just have a cash flow pinch right now. Anyone knows anyone with a cash flow pinch right now? Right? Well, or also many people need to move their money from one investment area to another, especially foreclosure investors tell me that a lot, that when they do their foreclosure investing, that they love the system because they can now tag it on to their foreclosure investing. Anyone else foreclosure investing? All right, you do everything.
Yeah, a little bit.
Very good. They basically, when people have a foreclosure property, they're danger for losing their property. They often have some other assets, like pieces of land and things like that. And what you can do is you can basically now, with this knowledge, you can pick up these properties, give them some money that allows them to keep their foreclosure property for a little bit longer, and they got rid of something that they have no use for anyway. So that's a lot of things to do. Now, what do people ultimately do? But at least some people, if they don't want to put any more money into this thing anymore, nothing, not a dime, logically, what do? They ultimately go, and some of them at least, stop paying their property taxes, right? So, and down the road, that problem, when basically say like, I've had it, I don't want this property anymore, they don't want to even mess with selling it, they just don't want to have anything to do with it anymore, so they say like, you know what, I'm not paying anymore, ultimately it's going to go down to tax deed sale or so, or tax deed sale. Well, before I continue, I want to say this is not a tax lien or tax deed system. It's very clear, this has nothing to do with it. But, when I told you that I freaked out and I needed to find a system that I could get in with less money, where that hurdle of me putting my life savings into one deal was too high for me. So while I studied and I found out about tax liens and tax deeds, and I liked the profit potential of that. Anyone deals with tax liens and tax deeds? Right? Okay,
Fine.
good. Well, I like the profit potential of it a lot, but I also saw some major disadvantages in the tax lien and tax deed world. Now, I don't want to scare you away from it, but there's a lot of competition in that area. There's a lot of competition in tax lien sales, tax deed sales. I've seen tax deed sales where there were 300 properties for sale and there was 1,000 investors there. Now, if you have a ratio of 3 investors for one property, and some of them come and to buy multiple, that means one thing: prices go whoop, way up. And these prices were to 80–90% of market value. Now, let me ask you, who wants to buy at 80–90% of market value when you can buy at 10% of market value? Would you rather buy at 10% of market value?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, exactly. There's also too high prices, as I just said. And for example, in the tax lien world, there is California is a tax deed state, but Arizona is a tax lien state. You invest in a tax lien, and you have to wait up to 3 years before you can even foreclose on that property. Now, again, who would like to make money now versus 3 years from now? Right? So therefore, I like the profit potential. I like the fact that you can pick up these properties cheap if you know to do how, if you know how to. But there are some of these disadvantages. So while I was traveling for my job and I was trying to figure this out, I sat there and I was like, how am I going to make this work? And then literally, it hit me like a ton of bricks one evening. And the question popped in my mind that was, why wait? What I mean by that is, why should I wait until the people stop paying their property taxes? If somebody makes up their mind that they don't want their property anymore, then they make this decision today. It might take in California 6 years before that property comes up for tax deed sale. Why should I wait 6 years before I then compete with all these other investors and have all these back taxes and fees and penalties accrued? If I instead why should I wait until these properties go for tax sale and compete with all those people? Instead, couldn't I just figure out who doesn't want their land anymore? And if I could find that out, couldn't I then just go and contact them right now, offer them whatever it is, even a couple $100. The owners don't want them anymore, and they're willing to sell it for as little as $100 for free, or in some cases a few $100 for a couple of $1,000s. But literally pennies on the dollar for 5 to 25% of market value. And I figured if I could figure this out, and I knew exactly how I would do that, I knew that I could figure this out, and that's exactly what I built with the Land Profit Generator, a system that allows you to figure out who are the people that don't want their property anymore, and allows you to go straight to them and buy the properties directly from them. Now, some of them will have back taxes on them, but many will not. Here's my main discovery. After doing like thousands of deals, literally, after about a couple of thousand of deals, I did this analysis, and I found out that only 1/3 of all the property deals that I did had back taxes. 2/3 owed nothing. So that means that most people, if you just do the tax lien, tax deed kind of delinquency thing, you're first of all competing with everyone, and you're going after a sliver of the market, only after a third of the possible market. And you're leaving even on top of it 2/3 left over. So anyone wants to instantly triple their business, right? So, right, and what I figured out is that it's not difficult to get those if you just know what to look for in the counties. If you just know kind of like the secret words to go and ask the county for certain information, then they immediately give you all this database that includes all these additional two-thirds of people, and I'll share with you later on how you can get that. Now the thing is, how big is the market? Well, let's look at this. As of April 7th, 2010, the webpage taxsaleList.com that covers kind of the tax delinquent stuff figured out that there's 50,770,204 properties in the United States where the owners do not pay their property taxes. Do we have a market?
Big.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, that is only 1/3 of all properties that you can possibly buy.